cat is lying on the windowsill, staring outside and acting as if the entire world has nothing to do with it. You call its name. Once, twice, then a little louder. It does not move. It does not turn its head. It does not run to you happily like a dog. At most, one ear twitches slightly, as if it accidentally heard the refrigerator, but decided it was not worth paying attention to. At that moment, a rather uncomfortable thought appears in your mind. It definitely hears me, but it is deliberately ignoring me. The funny thing is that this thought may be closer to the truth than it seems. Cats really can recognize their own names. This is not just wishful thinking from owners. It is not a cute illusion or an attempt to humanize an animal. Research has shown that domestic cats can distinguish their names from other similar-sounding words. But this is where things become truly interesting. Because understanding a name and wanting to respond to it are two completely different things. A cat is not a dog. That is the key to everything. Dogs spent thousands of years living alongside humans as helpers, guards, hunters, shepherds, and companions. Over time, their behavior evolved to better understand people, follow commands, and seek approval. A dog often sees its owner as the center of its world. For a dog, a human voice is a signal for action, play, praise, and connection. Cats arrived in human lives very differently. They never volunteered to serve. They simply discovered that wherever humans stored grain, there were mice. And where there are mice, there is food. Humans also found it useful to have a small hunter nearby. That was the beginning of a partnership in which the cat did not truly submit to humans. Instead, it agreed to live alongside them on its own terms. And those terms seem to remain in place even today. When you call a cat by its name, it does not hear a command. To a cat, its name is more like a signal that says, "Someone is addressing me." What happens next is an evaluation. Is it worth getting up? Is there a benefit? Will food be involved? Will there be playtime? Or does the human simply want to pick me up when I am already comfortable? If the answer is not appealing, the cat may remain exactly where it is. Not because it failed to understand, because it decided your offer was not worth the effort. That is the mysterious quality of cats that fascinates and frustrates people at the same time. A cat can hear perfectly well without feeling any obligation to obey. It can recognize its owner's voice, distinguish familiar tones, and remember frequently repeated words. But it does not have an internal need to constantly prove its loyalty. It does not seek a good job from a human at every opportunity. Its world works differently. Scientists tested this idea with a simple experiment. Cats were presented with several words that sounded similar to their names. Afterward, their actual names were spoken. Many cats showed little or no reaction to the unrelated words. But when their names were spoken, they often responded by moving their ears, turning their heads, flicking their tails, or changing their posture. The reactions were not always dramatic, but they were consistent. This is where many owners make a mistake. They expect a dog-like response. You call, the animal comes. If it does not come, it must not understand. Cats communicate far more subtly. Sometimes the entire response is a single ear movement. Sometimes it is a brief glance. Sometimes a slow blink. Sometimes a slight turn of the head before returning to sleep. Humans often see indifference when the cat has already answered.
A cat's body language is built from small details. A dog celebrates with its whole body. A cat can express an entire emotion with the tip of its tail. A slow blink can signal trust. Ears turned toward you mean attention. A rapidly flicking tail can indicate irritation. Forward-pointing whiskers often show interest. To a person accustomed to large gestures, these signals are easy to miss. That is why cats often appear cold or distant. In reality, they are simply not theatrical. They do not feel the need to put on a performance every time they acknowledge you. Their reactions are economical. Cats are masters of conserving energy. In the wild, unnecessary movement can be dangerous. It is safer to evaluate first and act later. That ancient instinct remains alive even in a cat that spends its days on a sofa. and eats from a bowl. Then why does a cat appear instantly when it hears a bag of food being opened? The answer is simple. Cats are excellent at connecting sounds with consequences. A rustling food bag means food is coming. A refrigerator door may mean an opportunity. A carrier being taken out might mean it is time to disappear under the bed. A gentle tone may lead to affection. A harsh tone may signal trouble. For a cat, the important thing is not the sound itself, but what usually follows.
If a name is associated with positive experiences, a cat is more likely to respond. If you call its name before feeding it, playing with it, or giving affection, the name becomes a positive signal. But if the name is usually followed by baths, nail trimming, medication, or punishment, the cat quickly learns that avoiding the situation is the smarter choice. That is not stubbornness. It is learning. In many ways, cats are surprisingly rational animals. They remember not only words, but also context. Who is speaking? What tone is being used? What time it is? What usually happens next? The exact same name can carry different meanings depending on the situation. A soft call from the kitchen means one thing. A sharp call from the hallway means something else entirely. Another important detail is that cats can recognize individual human voices. Their owner's voice does not sound the same as a stranger's. A cat may respond when its owner says its name, but show little reaction when the same name is spoken by someone unfamiliar. It is not just recognizing a word. It is recognizing a complete pattern that includes a familiar voice, a familiar tone, and a familiar situation. Does a cat understand that the name specifically refers to itself? This is where caution is necessary. Cats do not think about identity in the same way humans do. A cat is not sitting there thinking my name is Luna, and that is who I am. That would be a fairy tale. More likely the cat has learned that a particular sound means human attention is being directed towards me. For the cat, the name is not an identity card. It is a reliable signal. Even that realization is enough to challenge the old myth that cats do not understand anything. They understand a great deal. They simply do not express that understanding in ways that are convenient for us. Intelligence does not always look like obedience. Things become even more interesting in households with multiple cats. Observations suggest that some cats can learn the names of other animals living with them. Over time, they may recognize that one sound refers to another cat and not themselves. For an animal often described as indifferent, that represents a surprisingly sophisticated social skill. The truth is that cats pay far more attention to us than we realize. While people assume they are being ignored, the cat may be quietly gathering information. Who entered the room? What was said? Where the food bowl is? Why the human seems upset today? Whether it is time to hide? Whether it is worth asking for food? Whether the warm spot on the laptop is available? Their world is full of observation, but not necessarily full of reports. That is why cats seem mysterious. We expect either human gratitude or canine enthusiasm. Instead, cats operate according to their own rhythm. They can love a person without becoming dependent on them. They can miss someone without displaying overwhelming excitement. They can understand their names without running across the room. They can be deeply attached while still acting as though none of it matters. Yet when you look closely, the appearance of indifference begins to crack. A cat sleeping beside you is making a choice. It has decided that you are a safe place to be. A cat rubbing against your legs is marking you as part of its world. A cat waiting near the door may pretend it just happened to be there. A cat resting nearby may simply prefer your presence without needing physical contact. The same principle applies to names. A cat may know its name, it may hear it, it may understand that you are speaking to it. But its response depends not on your expectations, but on its own decision. If it does not come, that does not mean it does not care. Sometimes it simply means the windowsill won the argument. There is something refreshingly honest about that. Cats do not flatter. They do not perform excitement out of obligation. Their attention must be earned through consistency, trust, and positive experiences. The more often a name is associated with comfort and safety, the more likely a cat is to respond positively. If you want to test your own cat, do not shout its name repeatedly. Instead, say several ordinary words in the same tone, and then calmly say its name. Do not focus only on whether it comes. Watch the ears, the eyes, the tail, the whiskers, and the posture. You may notice a small reaction that you never saw before, and then you may realize that your cat was not ignoring you completely. It was simply answering in its own language. So does a cat understand its name, or is it simply ignoring you? The most honest answer is yes. Many cats do understand their names. They can distinguish them from other words. They associate them with human attention. But they are not obligated to respond in the way we would like. And that is exactly what makes a cat a cat. It hears you. It knows you are calling. It may fully understand that you are speaking to it. Then it calmly closes its eyes because a decision has already been made. I will come when I feel like it. Perhaps that is why we love them so much. Not because they obey, not because they follow commands, but because they combine closeness with freedom. Because they live beside us, understand more than they reveal, and remind us every day that love does not always look like immediate response. Sometimes love is simply being heard and choosing to stay nearby, just a little closer than yesterday.